Dobar dan, ja sam Aleksandar Draković iz preduzeća Most iz Beograda. Mi pomažemo izdavačima naučnih časopisa i knjiga iz Srbije, Makedonije, Crne Gore da uspešno sarađuju sa CEOL. CEOL je skraćenica od Central and East European Online Library i uspešno funkcioniše preko 20 godina. CEOL u svoje baze podataka skladišti naučne časopise, e-knjige i sivu literaturu iz oblasti komunističkih nauka iz centralne i istočne Evrope. Svi ti podaci se obrađuju i dostupni su na pregledan način na web sajtu ceol.com. Krajnji korisnici tih baza podataka, časopisa, članaka i knjiga i sive literature su najveći svetski univerziteti, biblioteke, naučne i državne ustanove. U nastavku ovog obraćanja moja koleginica Nada Harbaš upoznaće vas sa više detalja o radu CEOL-a kao i o obimu zaista impozantne saradnje koju CEOL već ima sa većinom časopisa sa naših prostora. Posle toga ćete vidjeti prezentaciju koleginice Kriste Kos, International Academic Publishing, All Step to Publish with CEOL Press, odnosno o tome kako možete da objavljujete uz pomoć CEOL Press. Nado, izvoli.
Hvala ti, Saša. Pa evo, ja vas neću još dugo zadržavati. Želela sam samo da vas upoznam sa podacima o saradnji CEOL-a i izdavaštva u regionu bivše Jugoslavije, s obzirom da pripadamo zajedničkoj nekakvoj jezičkoj grupi. Da vas ne bih opterećivala pojedinačnim ciframa, izneću vam samo neke sumarne podatke vezane za zemlje bivše Jugoslavije. Naime, CEOL ima izuzetno dobru i dugu saradnju sa većinom izdavača u regionu i većina akademske zajednice je prepoznala značaj indeksiranja svog autorskog sadržaja u našoj bazi. Tako, na primjer, u CEOL-u imamo registrovano 337 izdavača i 410 časopisa iz regiona. Osim toga, u našoj bazi imamo 875 naslova knjiga i ono po čemu je CEOL poseban i drugačiji od drugih baza, 2695 dokumenata sive literature. S obzirom da pretpostavljam da je većina vas najviše zainteresovana za status autora, juče smo u bazi imali 42.516 registrovanih autora sa prostora bivše Jugoslavije. Pošto je naša baza živi organizam i svakodnevno se povećava indeksirani sadržaj, sigurna sam da su dok vam ovo saopštavam ovi podaci promenjeni i brojevi su svakako veći. U tom smislu, a kao što vam je kolega Saša već saopštio, nadamo se da ćete prepoznati značaj objavljivanja vaših autorskih knjiga direktno u CEOL Pressu. Pre nego što vam se obrati Krista, samo bih želela da vam još jednom naglasim da će prezentacija biti na engleskom jeziku, a ako bilo ko od vas ima ikakvo pitanje, zamolila bih vas da ga napišete u polju za komentare, pa će vam Krista po završenoj prezentaciji odgovoriti na svako. Ako želite, pitanja možete postaviti na našem jeziku, pa ćemo kolega Saša i ja to prevesti Kristi kako bi mogla da vam odgovori. Hvala vam još jednom što ste se odazvali ovom pozivu, a sada bih zamolila Kristu da preuzme reč. Krista, would you please take the floor? Krista, could you...
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Nada. I was just trying to find the right button. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for coming to this online webinar about international academic publishing, all steps to take to publish with CEOL Press. I'm gonna start my presentation in a moment. Okay, all right. I joined CEOL 2 years ago, and I have a background in academic publishing. I used to be the director of Central European University Press. I worked there for almost 17 years, and that was the background I came from. And I met the owners and the people at CEOL long time ago, and we started talking and brainstorming about possibility to establish a press, a publishing house that would publish academic and non-academic books, ebooks and print-on-demand print books on and from our broadly defined region, Central, Eastern, Southeastern Europe. We started 2 years ago, just before the COVID pandemic hit the world. And since then, we published quite a few titles. I will show you a few in my presentation. So to go back to the topic of my talk today, the first thing, obviously, when you start writing or editing a book, whether it's an academic book or non-academic, it's who are you writing it for, what kind of format you're going to publish it in. These are all considerations that you have to have in mind. You have to decide about the target audience that you are targeting with your publication, whether it's a local audience, international audience. This is most the libraries that you and research institutions that you think would be the most the biggest audience for your title, or it's open for classroom. It would be a good candidate for classroom adoption, or it's the broader public. These factors all obviously define what kind of book you're going to write and where you're going to publish it. You have to choose a format. It's a case report. It's a proceeding from a conference. It's a monograph, an edited volume. Whether or not you want to have it in print or or both, or cloth or paperback. These are not your decisions at the end, obviously, but you have to have some kind of idea about it when you are approaching a publishing house. You sort of have to analyze the market before you approach a publishing house to see what kind of other books are out there on the same topic, for instance, that you are writing about. And when you have all these things thought out, then you have to choose a publisher. If you want to decide, or very often authors don't have an idea who to publish with, but I would suggest to look at your bookshelf, to look at the books that you are reading for your research or for pleasure, and see what kind of publishing houses those books were published with. And that's a good first step to seek out possible publishing houses. To the question of when to contact a publishing house with your manuscript, I would say the sooner the better. Even if you only have an idea for a book, or maybe just the structure of a book, a few chapters written, etc., it's good to have that opinion of that professional who is going to publish it. Almost all of the publishing houses have manuscript information sheets that is downloadable from their website. The same with us. You can find it on our website under the 4 authors list. And this manuscript information sheet will have questions that will sort of structure your proposal that you are writing to the publishing house. It will ask about the physical attributes of your book, also about as I mentioned before, the target audience that you see for the book, the competitors that are out in the market, when you think you would be able to deliver this book, etc. And this is the first view that the publishing house will have about your project. If they think this is something that fits their list and start working with you, then they will ask you. Most of the time, with most university presses would ask for at least 2-3 written chapters, but many of them would ask for the whole monograph to deliver before they decide about whether or not to publish it, because this is when they are sending it out to peer reviewers. This is a very time-consuming process. The peer review part is very much out of the hand of the publishing house. So, because as you probably know, most of the professionals who are writing these reviews for the publishing houses do it pro bono or for very, very little money. So they have a very tight schedule, and we usually ask them to deliver these evaluations in 1-2 months' time, but it can be much longer than that. And it's sometimes not even that easy to find good matches for certain manuscript evaluators who would be good matches for that and could do it in a timely manner. When you get the peer reviews, it's important to respond to the criticism that you receive from them, not to be offended by them. Very rarely you would get a peer review with straight A's and saying that publish it as it is. This is a very constructive way of rethinking your your ideas, your book. The criticism you get from these peer reviewers are usually very, very good in terms of making the book better. Then based on those criticisms, you modify your test and resubmit the manuscript. And this is when you will start working with the commissioning or in-house editor at the publishing house who is designated for your project. And from then on, that person will be your first contact to the publishing house. Obviously, the publishing house does many other things for your book, from copy editing to proofreading and graphic design, marketing, distribution, and many, many things happening there. I just wanted to show you a few books that we have published since establishing COL Press 2 years ago. When you think about finding a publisher for your book, obviously you look at the books that they have published before. And with us, you can see that we are a multilingual publishing house. Most of our titles in English, but not exclusively. We have books in German and French as well. And we have also started publishing books in the languages of the region. As you can see, on the bottom right corner, we have, it's a 2-volume book actually in Romanian that we published. And this is on the top left corner, there is this other book. It's also a bilingual book, Romanian English title. We also published the most recent ones that we published are on the top. Ada Isanovic's The Regime of Digital Coloniality, an academic title. And we also published Judita Shalgo's The Road to Birobidzhan and John Cox's English translation. This is the most recent one. I have a copy here with me as well. So you can see this is a very nice little book. Our titles are in humanities and social sciences, and we have a growing list of literature as well. Okay. As I mentioned, there are many different tasks associated with publishing a book. And because of that, there are many different people who are involved in the project, starting from the author, ending with the readers, and then in between. Lots of people contribute to the success of a book. So peer reviewers are just as important, and freelancers who are working. Most of the time, it's freelancers who do the design and copy editing, etc., for the book. On this next slide, you will see the process from, I'll get the laser pointer again, from contracting, signing contract with the publishing house, until your book is published and ready for distribution and promotion. As I said, once you have the peer review and you responded to it, that's when you sign a contract normally with the publishing house. With us, definitely, this is the steps that you have to take. And then you submit your final text according to the publishing house's guidelines. Most of them have a very clear guideline how to prepare the text for them. It's either downloadable from their website, or you can ask for it and they would be happy to share with you. Very early on, the publisher will ask you to take part in preparing marketing material as well, because your feedback, your side of the story is very, very important, even though the marketing decisions, including cover and even such things as fonts and typesetting, etc., decided by the publishing house, but you will be consulted and your voice will be heard in this. So very early on, you will start a conversation about that as well with your publisher. The next step is when you submit the final manuscript, it will go to the copy editing phase, which very often includes language editing as well, especially for authors who are not native speakers of English. And if we are publishing their text in English or in other languages, then definitely we will have a native language editor as well. After that, you finalize the text for the typesetter, who does the design and typesetting for your book. And when you have the galleys, the typeset galleys, then you get it for proofreading, which is also done by a professional simultaneously with you, with the author. As a professional proofreader will also check the text for final inconsistencies, errors, etc. Most academic books will have indexes in them, either just name indexes or more elaborate subject indexes as well, which are very difficult in terms of preparing them, very difficult part of the book, but can be very useful and very important, especially for scholarly titles. You would finalize the cover. The publisher would ask, and you can also get some endorsements for the cover, which are very nice from professionals in your field who would endorse your title. And then the book goes to print with us. We prepare almost all of our titles. There's one or two that only appeared in E, but most of the titles are published in E format and print format as well. The ebooks would immediately be available through the COL website, and the print books would we work with an international printing and distributing company, Ingram, and the print books are printed print on demand and distributed to all over the world through e-retailers, to library buyers, to actually brick and mortar bookstores. For brick and mortar bookstores, we usually seek out the ones for instance, in your country, the country of the author, where it would be important to have the books available in actual bookstores too. And distribution and simultaneously with distribution, the promotion of the book is happening as well. I will get to that on the next slide. So when we talk about marketing of the book, many factors determine what kind of marketing and distribution that book would have, what would be the best approach for that particular title. Even such things as the format of the book is sort of part of marketing, because obviously not every book is a good candidate for a cloth format. Some books would only have a good life in E format, etc. So these are also part of the marketing decisions that the publisher makes. And marketing and distribution is done through traditional and digital channels as well. To get the books to the researchers, university libraries, bookstores, and I mentioned a few examples of e-retailers that we are working with. Part of the marketing is sending out review copies to journals and possible reviewers in your field. We send out direct mails, marketing mails. We are very active on social media platforms to promote your title. We also organize, just as other university presses and academic publishers as well, book launches. In the last 2 years, those were organized online, but we hope to turn back to the traditional way of launching a book in real life. We attend conferences, book fairs, workshops, etc., where we can feature your books. We prepare flyers that either you can take to your speaking engagements if you have any, or we can take it to the events where we participate in. And of course, there are some advertising that we also do in journals or online through banners, etc. Now I would like to say a few words about the responsibilities of an editor. Very often for scholarly titles, we don't talk about monographs, but about edited volumes of several authors. And those books come to the publisher through the editor of that book. And if you are such an editor who are holding together a group of scholars who are writing about a topic, then you are the first contact to the publisher, and you will be responsible to to getting all the messages out to your authors regarding deadlines, regarding formatting, regarding copyright issues, etc. In certain cases, the copy editor might want to contact individual authors because they have particular questions for this or that author, but that also goes through you as the editor of that book. You have to have a written consent from all your authors if you are the editor of a multi-author volume. And also you have to make sure that if some parts of the book, some articles appear in journals simultaneously or before the book gets published, then the proper credit is given. So these are a few of the most important responsibilities of the editor of a multi-author volume. A few words about copyright. Most of the issues relating to copyright are covered in a publisher's contract that you would sign in the beginning of the process. You have to take care of copyrights of text and illustrations that you are using in the book, etc. The publisher would help you in cases when you don't get any response from a copyright holder whose text or image you would like to use, what to do in that case, how to solve this problem. And obviously acknowledgement is also an important part of giving sort of credit to people who helped that particular text. Now, COL Press is not an open access publisher per se. We are not against open access books. In certain cases, we understand that there is a bigger and bigger issue all over EU and the US and globally, etc. So there are various models how to cover the costs if you are publishing open access. Obviously, there is the book processing charges, which vary very widely. It can be an institutional subsidy that covers the costs, or library membership models and other freemium models. At the end of the day, someone has to pay. So if there's no income from sales, then obviously it's not a free book, but someone has to pay the costs associated with it. I will show you on the next slide a very elaborate model that I found in this copy revenue models for open access monographs. So you can see how complex the scene is at the moment. There are the main models are third-party subsidies, embedded institutional support, consortium models, and earned revenue models. And there are various different subcategories where your book can fall into. Most of the time, if you are associated with a university, there might be money in the project allocated for publishing, and this is what the authors use for open access books if they are required to publish open access. So yeah, it's just to clarify who pays. That can be several people in that open access world: the authors, the universities, research centers, national funding institutions, European Research Council, or the libraries themselves in certain models, who do sort of a crowdfunding for projects. Okay, so as you probably know, there are several versions of open access, and COL Press's version is if we decide to publish something open access, then it's going to be just as much taken seriously as other books, peer-reviewed. The same kind of editorial work will be put into that, will be available immediately upon publication. There will not be any embargo time, and will be offered in for sale print format as well as the open access ebook. And we work with a book processing charge for that, which is decided case by case, depending on the complexity and marketability of the book. So this is basically what I wanted to tell you, and I hope I covered everything. So if there are any questions, I would be open to them.
Ako imate bilo kakvo pitanje, slobodno napišite u komentaru, pa će Krista odgovoriti.
Julian, do you see any questions on any of the platforms?
No, on Facebook we are okay. On YouTube we are okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, and I want to add that if you are interested in publishing with COL Press, please visit our website at colpress.com, and you can write to info@colpress.com or to krista.kosh@colpress.com. I would be happy to discuss any manuscripts that you might have, or just ideas that you might have for books, or if you have questions, further questions about international academic publishing, I would be happy to answer them.
Okay, Nada or Sasha, final words for our viewers?
Ništa, hvala vam. Pošto nema komentara, svakako možete ovo da pogledate, ostaće zabeleženo na YouTube-u, na COL-om kanalu YouTube-a i na COL Press Facebook stranici, tako da možete ponovo da pogledate, a svakako pitanja možete da postavite direktno Kristi ili na mail info@col.com, a možete u principu da se obratite i Saši ili meni ako vam je to lakše, pa ćemo mi onda iskomunicirati dalje vašu saradnju sa Kristom. Hvala vam što ste učestvovali na ovom događaju i nadamo se da se vidimo i čujemo uskoro. Hvala vam svom. Prijatno.
Hvala.
Thank you.
Thank you.